Good morning, valued advisors. My name is Shayne Fickling, Regional Vice President with E4 here in the Madison, Wisconsin area, welcoming you to the BREW, building relationships every week. Thanks for tuning in, and for those of you that are tuning into the BREW for the first time, welcome. Today we're continuing the August lineup on Link Benefit and LTC. Heather Olson, Regional Sales Director at OneAmerica Financial, is here with me to walk through standout strategies, highlight top OneAmerica products, and to show you how they can be applied within your practices. Thank you for joining us today, Heather. We encourage you to use the chat box or raise your hand to ask any questions. All attendees are entered into a drawing for a CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card. We will announce the winner at the end. Heather, I know there was a number of product changes that went into effect last fall. One of those was the presentation format, where the design is centered around the client experience and the ease for the advisor to deliver the solution. Can you provide some insight as to how that campaign has been going and how it's been received by both the advisors and the clients alike?
Great question. Thanks, Shayne, and thank you for having me. We launched our Insight interactive presentation solutions last year on our Asset Care platform, which is our second to die whole life. And what's nice about it is yes, we can run an illustration, but the software actually embeds the illustration into the Insight software. So if an advisor is sitting down with a client, there are different slide rules that show the power of the numbers, the monthly benefit, the income that's generated from having a policy in place, and really just the advisor, if they're in a setting where they have it up on a TV and their laptop is there, they can put different numbers into the software so the client can see live what those different changes, if a care event happened at different ages, what that would look like and how that policy would create that cash flow. So it's been very successful, closing more sales, helping advisors with the presentation, as well as helping clients understand what they're actually looking at.
Yeah, I know it's been very interactive, and I've gotten a lot of positive comments from the advisors I work with, where it's really helped them to simplify the whole process as much as the long-term care planning can be simplified, I guess, but a lot of very positive feedback from that.
What's nice is there's also an interactive link in there to see what the cost of care is in that presentation, so that if they say, well, we're thinking about moving to Florida or Arizona, what do the costs look like there? So they can be compared to different states and see what those ranges would be and what that cost of care is.
Yeah, kind of personalize it for their own unique situations.
Exactly.
That's great. So Heather, you're in a little bit of a unique position where you've got the ability to work with some of the best advisors in the industry on a day-to-day basis. You're out in the field and doing a lot of one-on-one type stuff. What things are the top advisors doing to separate themselves from other advisors that maybe aren't having as much success in this space today?
They're bringing it up. They're making a habit of bringing up the conversation about long-term care beyond the actual insurance conversation. And I know E4 has a great plan for care of addressing of what things do you want to happen if care, if something should happen to you, an extended care event. But having that conversation and making it a habit of bringing it up on annual reviews consistently. What I see from a lot of the advisors is they're talking about long-term care more as really a risk management strategy. And, it's more of, that's the biggest risk to a client's portfolio, not necessarily the markets. It's whether or not they would have an extended care event. So it's really just being proactive, having that conversation with clients so that they can look at it as, we need to think about this and how this would impact other parts of the plan.
Anything else you can think of that the top advisors are doing a little bit differently to kind of separate themselves?
Really, I mean, it's a process. So it's a long process of having that conversation with clients, being consistent in bringing it up, making it a part of the overall annual meeting. If advisors are meeting with clients annually, is making it a line item on the agenda, asking the questions, asking if they experienced a care event with clients, and really just saying, what if we could more efficiently and effectively reposition some assets and income? We're just going to slide it from one pocket to the other. Is that something you would be interested in to protect the rest of the assets from an extended care event?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I know it's my own personal experience. It's one of those kind of planning options that doesn't get it gets addressed a lot of times on annual reviews, but it doesn't always get acted on the first time around that's brought up. It's something that has to kind of get layered in and, like you said, make it a priority. If it's important to the advisor and the advisor is bringing it up regularly at annual reviews, it starts to sink into the client's mind and makes them realize that it's important and something that they should maybe take action on as well.
Absolutely.
One of the things that the advisors that I work with like the most about OneAmerica is the vast amount of options for finding the right solutions for their clients. I know you've had a lot of success with your limited underwriting annuity, particularly for those clients that maybe should have done planning, years and years ago, and now they're finding themselves in their late 70s or early 80s, feeling like they might be towards the end of being able to do anything and losing hope. Would you be willing to share a little bit more about how that concept works with the group?
Sure. That's the beauty of the solutions that we have to deliver, is the fact that for those clients, we can pivot either between the life insurance chassis or the annuity chassis, and that would be dictated by the client's age, the client's health, and what their source of funds is. One of the things that we've been having success with is our base annuity strategy for clients that maybe have existing old non-qualified annuities, looking at those individuals that may not necessarily need those annuities to live off for retirement income purposes, but now long-term care is more of a concern. So we can take an existing non-qualified annuity. If a client can answer no to 4 knockout questions, and now they can use all of that money tax-free if it's used for long-term care purposes. So we can take an annuity that, if left where it is currently, where it's LIFO, last in, first out, under the Pension Protection Act, with our annuity chassis, we can make it FIFO, where all of the money is tax-free for long-term care purposes. But if they never need it, that money would pass to the beneficiaries like any annuity would.
I think you had an example on that you wanted to share as well, didn't you?
I do. I'm going to share my screen. So under the Pension Protection Act, there's very few carriers out there that have the ability to do this. So the Pension Protection Act allows for the cost basis to be spent down first. And then once that basis is spent down, the gains would be tax-free. So this would just be one example of our annuity care, which is a fixed annuity where a 77-year-old female may have an existing annuity somewhere else. She's concerned about long-term care. She has $200,000. Maybe she has a low basis. Maybe it's $50,000. By answering no to 4 knockout questions, she can now have the ability to spend down her money over a 3-year period, tax-free for long-term care purposes. So in year 1, her monthly benefit is $6,014. Over time, if let's say she didn't necessarily need care in year 1, but now she needs care in year 10, she can have access to tax-free cash flow under the Pension Protection Act for long-term care of $8,377 per month, and that would be over a 3-year period. If she never needed care, the account value of $275,379 would pass to her beneficiaries just like any annuity would. So the Pension Protection Act really is for people to do something about long-term care planning and segmenting non-qualified annuity books of business, I would say between 75 and 87 for this strategy, um, is really what a lot of the advisors are doing with non-qualified annuities on the books, not needed for income to live off of, but long-term care is a concern.
And those knockout questions are very, very favorable. Yeah, they're there.
They are. So this, if an application for a base annuity strategy is done, this never goes to an underwriter's desk. This just goes to case management. And as long as they can answer no to the first four knockout questions on the screen, then we can issue a policy.
That's great.
So
Well, and I have to think with where interest rates have gone over the last couple of years and with what's happened with the markets, there's a ton of gain in a lot of old annuity contracts where some of these older folks maybe should definitely consider that.
Absolutely. We're seeing more and more of people having these annuities. And according to LIMRA, the average age of a current non-qualified annuity holder is 74. When they surveyed individual non-qualified annuity holders as to whether or not they would ever take a withdrawal from their annuity, the people 70 years of age and older said, not unless I have a long-term care event. I don't want to pay taxes. So this is really a great strategy for those people that have these old non-qualified annuities and have a lot of taxable gain that are between the ages of 75 and 87, where long-term care is a concern.
That's great.
And one thing I will add is if, let's say, a client has an existing non-qualified annuity, let's say it's a wife. She's the owner and she's the annuitant on the policy at company XYZ. If she wants to add her spouse onto the policy, as long as the spouse can answer no to the same knockout questions, he can have access to that pool of benefits under the eligible person provision.
That's a great point
And
also.
they also have access to our claims concierge. So they're there to help navigate that claims process should they need to utilize their policy for an extended care event.
Great. Just one last question here, Heather. OneAmerica is unique in that you're the only carrier that has a turnkey program for taking qualified dollars and turning them into tax-free funds for any LTC expenses incurred. With the abundance of qualified dollars that most clients have in their portfolios, I have to think that that's one of your most successful tools. I know I myself have worked with a lot of advisors on that particular concept, and being able to take 20% of a client's overall portfolio that's on the qualified side and turn it into tax-free dollars.
Absolutely. That is one of our, I'll show us a slide, but this annuity funding whole life is really a great set it and forget it strategy for clients. And if you think about the retirement market and you think about the baby boomers, the first baby boomers are going to be turning 80 next year, but there is about $45 trillion in retirement accounts. So it's how do we take those retirement accounts and use it more efficiently and effectively to fund long-term care? So by repositioning via an IRA transfer into an annuity with OneAmerica, they will receive a 25% bonus on top of what they put in. So we're looking at an example of a 60-year-old couple. They do an IRA transfer of $160,000. It's still titled as an IRA. They get the 25% bonus. Now they have $200,000, which we're going to take a distribution every year over a 10-year period, and we're going to issue a 1099 on that distribution. So in this example, $20,000 would be distributed, and we would utilize it to fund a 10-pay asset care policy that's going to cover both the husband and the wife. So they're both covered on one policy. The end result is we've now taken a taxable asset, we've spread the taxes out over a 10-year period. We've created a tax-free death benefit if care is not needed of $177,000. But if either spouse or both spouses need care, they would each have, in this example, $7,400 per month per person, tax-free. And in this example, it's providing lifetime long-term care benefits. So this would be ideal for clients with the bulk of their assets in IRAs, 401ks. They want to set it and forget it strategy. Think about clients that maybe are doing Roth conversions. You can scale back the Roth conversion to take into account what's being distributed each year from here. If the clients are of RMD age, the distribution each year from this policy would count towards satisfying those required minimum distributions. But also think about clients with inherited IRAs with the Secure Act. This is a great way to take those inherited IRA dollars, satisfy the Secure Act distribution rules over that 10 years, but protect the rest of the assets from an extended care event.
Yeah, for those advisors and clients that both feel like tax rates are going to be going up in the future, I can't imagine too much of a better strategy for locking in the low tax rates today.
Absolutely. It's more about thinking about this as this is a way to generate tax-free cash flow if ever one of you or either of you or both of you need care. And it's all about the advisors that do, tax bracket planning. This is the same concept, is we're just really trying to effectively manage tax brackets in retirement and generate the most effective income and enhance the return of the investments.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've had a number of advisors that have that perfect client that has the proverbial, $1 million in their IRA or their 401k. It makes all the sense in the world to slice off a portion of that to basically protect all the rest, which is what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, as we wrap up, I wanted to remind everybody that today's brew and all the brews are recorded and shared on our brew page on the E4 website at www.e4.insurance. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all of our brewcasts. They're released every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Now for our giveaway. Heather, could you please pick a number between 1 and 36?
I'm going to go with 29.
All right. Now the winner. The winner today is Justin Manning. Justin, congratulations. Be on the lookout for a complimentary CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card that will be coming out your way from all of us here at E4. Next week, we'll continue the August Brewcast with Rob Johnson, Sales Vice President at Lincoln Financial. Rob and I will explore creative planning strategies using the Lincoln Money Guard. We'll uncover unique design ideas and underused approaches that can help meet your clients' long-term care and legacy planning needs. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. Thank you so much, Heather, for taking time out of your schedule to join me as well. If any questions come to mind as a result of the session today, or if you thought of a client that you should be talking to, but still haven't come across the best way to approach them about one of these concepts, please reach out to your RVP. I hope you enjoyed today's session, and we'll see you next week on The Brew.